All right, y'all. Here we are. Aloha. Welcome home to another Jedi Night podcast, the space where we shine a light on our community of peacemakers, enlightening the world with all this love, which is the solution, and unity is the way. My name is Jonah Martin Lyon, and I am here on this beautiful day. We're in a blue Eagle Day in this galactic sphere and calendar and time period and energy. And I'm just honored to be here with Annaluisa Anjos of Anjos, Dos Anjos Productions, right? And she's one of our Earth Guardians in the Jedi Academy. So just want to welcome her into this space. Ana Luisa is here with over 25 years of event production experience, specializing in orchestrating impactful global live streams, music festivals, and indigenous gatherings. Committed to positive change, she is an advocate for environmental conservation and indigenous rights. Her events prioritize collaboration, inclusivity, and authenticity, aiming to entertain and inspire and empower individuals for a positive local and global impact. So please welcome Annaluisa to this wonderful night podcast in this Jedi space with a breath of gratitude. And we're here. So, thanks. Yeah, much aloha to you.
Aloha. Thank you, Jonah. Thank you, everyone. It's so great to be here, with my great burner friend and activist as well. I'm so happy to be part of this podcast, and I'm ready from New York. It's already getting dark and cold. I'm putting my heater off and ready to talk to you all.
Yeah, amazing, right? Yeah, so we were just dropping in a little bit around much of the work that you're doing, and you had a wonderful opportunity just yesterday to really be in the space of supporting indigenous movements and rights and being in that activist space. So I want to share a little bit more with our community here about what you're doing in that and how you're amplifying the voice of indigenous peoples and being a translator also for them, so that many of the rest of us, especially in the U.S. and this nation and beyond, could have greater understanding into the work that they're doing and how we can collaborate and support them.
Yes, so I've been my passion is to really protect the forests, and I grew up always very interested about ancestral knowledge and how we all came about to be here and how do we don't remember about our past lives and what we have done, in the past in order to continue, pick up and continue and grow. So that's always been like a big question mark, and by meeting and being friends with the indigenous peoples for the past 30 years, I've been able to answer a lot of those questions by learning from them. The indigenous peoples are, in my vision, almost like the humans that worked out, pretty well. They live in harmony, full harmony with the forest. They are not like so greedy like we are here in the big cities, and they have this incredible spiritual knowledge and connection with Mother Earth, which is what we lost in the big cities. So basically, my work is to try to elevate their messages when they come to New York. I produce events at the United Nations and different places that they can be, heard and also, recognized as leaders, and part of this talk about climate change. Because one good fact that is nice for you and everybody to know is that imagine that in our whole entire planet, the indigenous peoples of the world, they occupy 6% of the territory. But yet they preserve 85% of all the biodiversity in the planet. It's almost like they are doing the hard work for us to have oxygen and to live in the cities. It's really the balance that there is. Because the way that we try to explain in an easy way about climate change, there's a lot of people in denial, which is like crazy because we see the temperatures rising, the oceans rising. So what is to deny about that, right? It's a fact. But it's that they are such huge contributors and guardians of the planet. So this work on trying to elevate them and just basically creating platforms so they can be heard, it's quite important. So more and more people understand that this is not a joke and that we really gotta, be smarter in our choices of either banking, of buying Amazon or rainforest products, and also it's really reside in our choices of everything, even of good friends that we have and good vibes to attract to our life, but it is we are the society here in America, it's very much a consumist. I had the opportunity, as you mentioned yesterday, to be with a very big shaman here in New York. We organized a panel for him at the UNDP office, United Nations Development Program at the United Nations. That was for him to talk about how he sees us and how he wanted us to respect the ways of the Yanomami people. So I had the honor and the pleasure to be with Davi Yanomami yesterday, Davi Kopenawa Yanomami, and he was just basically sharing with us how he sees us as the merchandise people. And he says that we will do anything for the merchandise and die for. And he was making this reflection of how we would die for products and not for life or for food or for existence. So it's like it was a very big reflection. As I told you, I'm still vibrating positive and until now, because it's like what we learned. I mean, this 50, 60 people that were there yesterday has no price tag. And although we are the merchandise people, we are like with no price tag, learning from them, so it was quite special, and I hope that even with the DJ Academy, we can Jedi Academy, we can really also bring them to share with the youth around America and the world really the most important things and the priorities, in a simple, humble but organic way.
Mm. Mm. Love that. It's great because I was just feeling that too, and these guardians of the forest, right? And you being an Earth guardian in the Jedi Academy, and holding that kind of leadership place in that and stewarding that part of our team organization. And then also what came up for me too is you being the principle of communal effort. And part of why that was such a great choice is I see that so powerfully in you is in the community and the efforts that you put forth. You're like this like this queen bee, and we were sitting talking about Burning Man, right? You and I, along with the indigenous people of Black Rock and the Paiutes, that year of Burning Man, the main art piece is the man base was essentially a beehive, right? And so to think about that and how that relates to right the work that you're doing and how you can are weaving tribes of people who are doing their work not only with protecting our forest and the diversity of those ecosystems, but the also our waters, right, and our air and all basically what we need, again, like you said, what we need to continue to not only live but to thrive, and what's necessary, because without our environmental health, like there is no existence, not only for humanity but all of our other relatives are going to suffer from what it is that we're doing to our natural environment instead of being one with it. So I would just love to speak more about like how you see the Jedi Academy, your Earth Guardian space, being impactful, in the support the youth, right? The Earth Guardian youth organization as well. Like let's make those connections, right? Let's weave those together, and then we have a larger community, and the voices of our youth, along with the elder voices of the indigenous peoples of the Amazon and beyond, right? It's let's link those and make those connections.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is so important, for us to inspire young people. And I am so mesmerized and inspired by this ancient knowledge that we were talking about. But just to close the line of thought of the Davi Yanomami, and I will go in more the DJI Academy, is that he was telling us yesterday, like, no, and then the white man comes up and tells us that everything is going to be all right. But are you believing that? Because how can everything be all right if we are going to have no forest in the future? So the forests of our planet and the rainforest, those really 2,000, 3,000 old trees, they hold the balance of Mother Earth, almost like an air conditioning. So let's see for people that don't understand. The trees of Mother Earth are the air conditioning of our planet. If we have no trees, it gets too hot, and there is a problem with our future in line. So we are, yeah, and he's like, and he's like, and you have the knowledge, you have the money to fix the problem, but you don't do it. So it's very complicated for us to, understand that we all went to the best schools, universities, and and have so much knowledge around us and are really not doing anything. So if we can somehow bring the Jedi Academy to really have action and the legs that we need to the world of the young people, because we are losing time. We are not having a lot of time to fix the problem. And the indigenous peoples, the elders, already appointed that the only way out is to reforest all the biomes of our planet, not just the 2,000 the trees in the Amazon that take 2,000 years to grow and reach the skies, but also all the other biomes and in the oceans and in the desert areas. I told you, right, that for my first Burning Man, I had this dream, and the first night, I don't know even how I slept, but I had a dream that the whole clock of Burning Man was planted. And this was an action of us burners, because I was trying to understand also still the gathering, the event, and I said, what do we do for the planet? I mean, just to clean what the way that we found is not enough. I don't think it's enough, because you end up like all the garbage that we take out of the desert from Burning Man, which is great. We leave it the way we found it. We throw it in another part of Reno. I mean, of the state of Nevada. It's still the same planet. It's not like this is like we're right. And sometimes, because the way the event is, we end up bringing more things than we need for survival. A lot of the times we share those in a collaborative way, which is beautiful. But anyway, I believe there's still a lot of ways. So maybe if we can together find out ways that we can either use all this waste to the good, or not the products that are wasted, I mean, and have impact through the ancestral knowledge, inspiring the young people. I think that our academy will be very successful. Personally, I'm very excited because as I told you and the whole group, I feel like I am a student of the earth and of the indigenous. So I would be incredible to be able to pass on this knowledge and be able to teach a little bit of what I've learned, and also facilitating and setting up the stage for the indigenous.
Oh, yeah, I love that. We have so much to learn, from especially the elders that have been, they haven't had the colonization, of not only but the land, but also the mind, right? So there's Cyril, to be indigenous is to still be connected, right, to Mother Earth. And that is the great unifier. I mean, we're all indigenous. So many of us have all forgotten that, and we've forgotten our ways. We've forgotten our connection in that. And so, yeah, a big part of what we're doing with the Jedi Academy, of course, is to support the reconnection, support the remembering, and to facilitate, not only conversations and discussions, the meta part, but then what is the physical action that we're taking, right? And that requires training. I find Burning Man is a great training grounds because of the environment, and the harshness of the environment allows for us to learn about ourself, everything that's out there we take out there. So yeah, we got to take it off too, right? But it gives us a kind of like, food, right? It's like what we put into our bodies and what we see on, come out of our bodies. But a lot of times it's the trash that we see on the ground. It gives us a really good vantage point perception, of what we're spending our money on, right? When I'm leaving no trace or leaving it better than I found it in the cities, in the urban, architecture and environments that I find myself in most of my waking days. It's like I see this stuff and it's like, right, we got alcohol, we have fast food items, right? We have a lot of different forms of plastic, containers of different varieties and things like that. But most of the stuff that I find is unhealthy, right? It's not actually good for us to be putting into our bodies. Well, if it's not good for us, it's not good for the earth either. And that's like the simplicity of the relationship, and so just excited about, like you said, to weave those in and to bring more of that information forward so that it's not just knowledge, right? Information becomes knowledge and knowledge becomes wisdom through action, right? We can know all these things, but we have a culture right now that has a lot of apathy. And I think some of that comes from being overwhelmed, one. Two, not knowing what we can do, right, is another part of where the apathy comes from. So that's where I'd like to see some of our edutainment, and when we're producing festivals, events, gatherings for people to come in, is like getting our hands and feet back into the earth and working with it, because we can train ourselves to be able to do better.
Totally. I totally agree. And one thing that I think that would be very impactful if we can be able to accomplish is to help the young people to look within. Because what's going on is that, well, being a Brazilian American with an American passport now, I am very glad for this country, and as an immigrant, of coming here, the opportunities and everything. But one thing that I notice here is that, I mean, not just here, around the world and in societies, is that nothing supports us to heal the way that we should be healed, which is first you take care of your traumas. And then once you're balanced, and then you'll be able to do good and you will be able to heal others. But nothing really supports us to look within and look in our shadows, so. And then sometimes also our mind and our egos and higher self, they block some parts of us that didn't do the right thing in the past, or because either they just want to, I think it's like the higher self is not really us. We are the heart and the soul of our bodies, and we have a car here, which is, hey, my car is Brazilian this year. I mean, this time around, I'm happy, maybe I'm having more fun than being born in Iran, this time for sure. But it's just a car, and it's my temple, and we got to take care of it with self-love, which is part of also the healing process. But it's really our soul that it matters. What we do for the people that are around us, and the amount of happiness and joy and harmony that we can bring to places, and to the ambient that we are. So if we can find a way somehow to have the youth looking inside them, they were going to find much more answers. They will heal their traumas, and they will be able to move on to their best versions of themselves, which is really what we are here to accomplish, and I think that will be a great thing with the academy, and also being the best versions. Maybe we can have programs restoring the earth. We can have, maybe I just had the idea to do a summer camp, with the principles of the academy, and then we're this is even before Burning Man, because we trained them before, and there's so many inspired actions that I've been seeing around from different NGOs and different things, that we can get a little bit of what works for others, and bring it to the academy, and raise the young people. Because I think that also one thing that is that's very annoying is that our rubber souls make us very disconnected from the earth. I was watching this, I think there's a new term, earthling. I don't know how
Earthing.
earthing, right? And then and they were checking like the cells, the blood cells with this old lady in her apartment. And then she went to the garden and barefoot, and she stayed 1 hour earthing. And then when they look back, all the cells were much more in harmony and everything. It wasn't clogged. It wasn't. So I mean, we really need to understand that hugging trees, it's for our health, even more than the trees, you know. I mean, I love the tree so much, and I'm a huge tree hugger, but I let my heart to the tree to listen. You know, I've been giving longer hugs right now. People think I'm more crazy, but I don't care. This is New York. Nobody really cares much of what the other do, but it really helps me to live here. I have to go to the park like at least twice a week and hug a bunch of trees. And even when I'm sometimes walking in the streets, I see like the sad tree and I'm like, I'll give a hug, or, you know, because they are live beings, and they have hearts and they have feelings, and they can do a lot for us. For instance, just going back to Davi Yanomami yesterday, one thing of the film that we showed the film, right? And then he spoke about it. One thing that this film brings is that what we white people call climate change, the indigenous call the revenge of Mother Earth.
Mm. Mm.
And there were some questions in the room with this UN lady asked, well, do you think that we white people can do something at this moment to stop the revenge of Mother Earth? And then he said, I'm not going to tell you that this is going to be possible because things are already in movement. And we don't have lots of time, so we really got to be aligned with our hearts and minds, and it's really starts from within. It doesn't start from outside. It's beautiful, our academy you know, principles, and to have it done, but we got to find a formula to really bring the sparkle, the divine sparkle in each one, so this way together we can make a difference with actions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy to be part of this growing program. And I think that you have picked wonderful people, Jana. Really, congratulations. It's a beautiful blend of people. And whoever takes part of this the Jedi Academy are going to really benefit lots, because I believe that we bring a lot to exchange and to make people grow and feel inspired.
Oh, yeah, so much. Absolutely. You know, the diversity, right? We talk about biodiversity, and you know, so much of the time we look outside of ourselves, right? When we think about these concepts and terms, you know, biodiversity. Well, what's the biodiversity within ourselves? What's the biodiversity within our core group in this Jedi Academy and all of our teachers, right? We're a diverse group, you know, culturally. We represent, but I would say look like a United Nations needs to look, right? And so, different generations, ages, coming from different places, and it's so important because we're able to bring this collective intelligence. And so, I think that's a big part of the system design, right? The Jedi Academy is meant to be is a system, and you know, we're holding positions and seats within that system, but similar to nature has its systems, and we need to reconnect and understand, like through biomimicry, through listening to nature, through putting our feet in the ground and listening and tuning in into the electromagnetic frequencies of the earth, right? This is all part of it. We call it, you know, earthing is like this new concept, but it's an ancient concept. When we look back at it, you know, our ancestors of the past, they didn't have, you know, rubber soles on their feet, you know, Nikes and Jordans and, you know, Adidas and all, like whatever we want to call. And shoes they're necessary for certain things. They're tools, right? There's certain times where, you know, we need to put on another sole, yeah, or a shoe, in order to be able to perform the work that we're doing. And hopefully we're doing that work for ourselves and doing that work for the earth, right? It's like I might have to put on some boots if I'm going to be out in the forest, you know, and moving around to protect my feet from getting, you know, messed up in that type of environment. But the key is that understanding, right? We need to bring more understanding to back to ourselves, and truly listen. And I love what you're doing when you talk about tree hugging. You know, Hugs is an organization also. It's an acronym for Humans Unifying for Global Solutions, right? Hugs, you
Mhm.
know, and it's been around for a good amount of time, and so you know, it's another. I would say there's an alliance there with Hugs, you know, opportunity. I have a brother from Kauai that I know also who started a movement called Humanitry, and humanitry is essentially a ceremony where we plant humans. You dig a hole for a tree the size of a large tree to go into, and then we actually plant ourselves into that hole and experience what it's like to be in a tree. Talk about earthing, right? And like really getting into that and having a ceremony, you know, of experiencing that, and you know, friends around that can experience that with us, right? And to bring prayer and that energy just goes right into the earth. And then once we come out of that earth, right, that hole's there, plant a tree there. And now there's a relationship, right? Now there's an association to that tree where it's like this tree represents me. You know, I did it in my home and on Maui. You know me with bananas, right? So like I dug a hole and you know, and got in, and my daughter too dug a hole for her, and we had some, you know, two banana trees basically, and we planted in our yard on Maui. And so yeah, it's what I love. And the vision, I had a similar vision also that you had on Playa, right? Is the there would be this forest. I actually, my first year at Burning Man, I planted a banana in the temple and at the man base and my camp. So like dug up the playa and then like literally planted bananas in there. It's just, for me, it was a ceremony, you know. It was a kind of a joking, you know, comical type of thing. Like obviously those bananas aren't going to turn into banana trees, but the intention was for that. And it's not the right environment for bananas or really a whole lot of things to grow out there. It's not meant for that, but there's environments all over the place, all types of ecosystems that need our support to regenerate, right? And to steward.
But apparently, John, I heard from scientists that all desert land were a forest one day, or even an
Mm,
ocean. So, for instance, there's this incredible. The only reason I think that I really had that dream is because I was working on this restoration project with this incredible Asian American called John Liu. He's a master on, is a soil expert, and he was working with the Lhasa Plateau in China. There was a desert area, like exactly like the land of Black Rock City. Okay, so it was a desert, and in 5 years, they united the community, they studied the soil, and now it's a forest.
mm,
Imagine what us burners can do. And that was the bottom of a lake.
mm.
So for sure it was forest around it. You know, so
Yeah.
but I don't think this was ever raised. But I mean, I see like this because as Burning Man is not a festival, right? And is an event, it is a human gathering of mind-lighted people. So why we don't come and restore that lake land? Or we
Mm,
do something really incredible for the Paiutes, or even we help the Paiutes with the major lithium problem that they're having now,
mm,
that I'd like to share with whoever is listening to us, that the Paiutes of the Nevada desert are divided in 17 different communities, that the white man made sure they are divided so they can have different opinions, and they could, you know, also clash among each other if they're meant to. And by doing that, separating, they start looking at the resources they had in the desert, and they discovered a lot of cobalt and lithium.
mm,
And the lithium, and they created the factories and mines to take out these resources. And basically, it's proven already that the lithium is very, very toxic, and it's going to be bad for the Paiute communities, but not only for them, because apparently the mines are just like 50 or 40 kilometers, or even maybe less than Black Rock City. So we can have toxic winds coming our way. So we are there thinking we're all cool and everything and working in this human experiment of getting along. with other people in a very harsh environment, and then we could all be getting sick. So this is what made me the first year, the second year that I went to try to bring in the indigenous peoples of the land, but not just to speak at the temple and nice words, but to also do some activism and also ask for help for us burners to do something, because we know the history. The governments with indigenous peoples, they always lie, deceive them, and break them apart. So we are the friends they get to do something for them. And then lithium is a big thing for the future, because with Elon Musk and with all the batteries for all electronic products that we need and so on. But it must have a way that either we can extract it without creating so much damage to human life and for the environment, or maybe we can come up with a different product, that could have the same effect and on the batteries and everything, but not harmful effects. So it's a lot of things for us to think about and to realize, because you see, if you think, God, I go crazy with this, but what the fuck? What are we? I mean, who are we being enslaved? I mean, there's 40 families that control the whole entire planet, the economy of everything. And they are trying to, I mean, what they want is first to move like cattle without asking questions, without anything, and just boom, 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 and going and doing and paying more taxes and leaving but not really living the best of life, or being the best version of yourself, or even interacting, because they just us to really be their little play toys, and I cannot accept that in my spirit, and I think you can't either, and our friends from the academy. So so how can we inspire the young people to wake up, to be the best versions of
Oh, she froze. I'm going to pause the recording here. This will be an edit opportunity. So much of what our work is at the Jedi Academy is focused in on the youth, right? Is youth empowerment and bringing them into a place of resiliency, leadership, of leading themselves, and choosing how they're going to do so, with this ancestral indigenous wisdom, right? And in a modern age, like to call, like, it's an ancient future, right? Because our youth is coming in, they have technology, right? Like that's what they've been entered into this technology age. They grow up with phones. I remember seeing a National Geographic. They had a picture, and it was right when my daughter was being born, and it was a picture of like a basically a very young child, and it was like half of the child's face was human and the other half was like robotic, and it was kind of like, whoa, like, okay, that's a lot right now. But it was making a strong point of essentially the hybrid nature, right, of their existence, of their knowing, and so how we can utilize this modern technology that we have, like what we're using right now, right, that can connect us. It connects the world, and gives us an opportunity to spend less time, I think, working in the industrial type of mind, right? And actually get more into our bodies and purpose, being in nature, enjoying what the life is about, right? And really celebrating life. And so, speak a little bit about like where you see that, the abundance of that life offers in regards to, just uh, how we get to live when we're living in this way, when we're grounded and rooted into the earth and being guardians and stewards of the earth.
Well, I imagine is that it's like almost like the Deepak Chopra book, like the 7 laws of attraction, And I imagine, I'm not there yet, but I imagine when we get to this point of full like harmony, that things get to you without much effort, because it's like it's meant to be, and then you just, and you're just in the right path, and things just happen more magically, and they fall into place without that much of an effort, or that much of of thought put into it, and more like in a organic way, so this is how I would love to see, also my life, in terms of like being balanced with this, with having so much luck and joy, and feeling like this really abundance of things happening, so I'm crazy human being. I'm a Virgo, so I understood that now my blessings come from helping others. I don't know what it is with my sign, but it's almost like an urge to be in collaborations. I think I got my my title pretty good with the collaboration work, because it's like that. And sometimes like people say, wait, but come on, you forget about yourself in the middle of it. And yes, not just me, a lot of us, we do things for others and we forget ourselves. And that's wrong, because we're really leaving the airplane mask mode,
Mm.
because it's almost like it's something like it's a self-love kind of, I'm still trying to figure out, but it's a self-love kind of thing. So you got to love yourself first for anybody around you love you and
Mm.
to value you and to recognize you. So you got to do all that to yourself first. So that comes with that idea with the car being our temple and us taking care of it, because imagine the human body, it's a great machine. I mean, come on. I mean, it's perfect. And it's like it's a miracle for us to be alive in a daily basis in a planet that gives us fresh air, fresh water. That, and then I mean, this is a rock that is flying for 35,000 kilometers an hour around another rock up in the air. And I thought
Right.
it's a lot of miracles already built in our existence, and us being here and alive, now, here, now, and present. So yeah,
Mm.
it's a lot yet to figure out, but I think that all the answers are really within us. So if we can be more in a meditative state, and look for those answers, and face our shadows and the things that we did wrong, and but also caress ourselves, allow for us to have been making mistakes, because we're humans. We're here to learn
Mm.
and to grow and to evolve, but not to destroy the earth and to destroy one another. And so what are we doing? I mean, you and me, our friends, we're not part of all this, but yet we are. So we have to
Mm.
come up with some sort of great activism idea or project to break through, because we do not agree with the status quo, and yet we are living it. Now we are in a democratic society. I don't mean to bring politics, but we had the results of our presidential campaign. It was my first time voting in America. I was very proud of doing so. I participated on the Kamala Harris campaign as an immigrant. I spoke about the immigrants on the film on DNC. They didn't air much of what I said, but anyway, I was there doing my part, and I think, like, for instance, the immigrants of this country, the immigrants build America. The
Mhm.
immigrants are right now planting all the food that this country eats are planted by immigrants. And yet they give no value. They only talk about them like, well, doing wrong things or being illegal or this and that. I mean, this is part of it, of course. And I believe that that should be dealt with in a correct, good way. Hopefully not putting kids on jail on behind bars like they did it, like animals, in a zoo, but you know, dealt with in government levels way that could be like humane, but also the recognition, because this country, it's made out of an invasion. Who are the
Yeah.
Americans? The Americans are the immigrants that came, because the real people from this country, the original owners of this country, are the Native American people that were
Right.
invaded. So before we learn, until we learn that in schools, the real truths, there's a lot of real truths that haven't come out yet, that they're still like
Yeah.
thinking that we are damn stupid and just going to be like walking like cows forever. And so if we find a way to have like very cool apostilles and teach these people that it's much more simple than what we were taught, you know. It's
Mhm.
just more vibing with nature and with one another, and in this collaborative way that we're going to grow and get out of this mess. You know, capitalism, it's very complicated because it's so greedy. You only see on your own growth and your own best version or whatever. And that's not what it is. We got to arouse and wake up for all of us to have our best version. So together we can aim and really accomplish something positive in the future. You know, because it's like for instance that the Davi Yanomami was also talking about myceliums, and I was like, oh my God. And he, of course he knows about that. He's like, look, we are killing all the mushrooms and they help us and help this huge chain of information that is underneath earth. You know, the trees, they talk to each other underneath and they bring nutrients if one tree doesn't have enough, and lends to the other, and so it's like a collaborative way. So
Mhm.
we, when we discover the Fibonacci number, the number of the perfect equation of nature and this and that, we forgot to walk with nature. We are not
Mhm.
collaborative at all. Our societies are not helping each other at all. Oh, but the indigenous are, because even when they go hunting, they have no refrigerator. So if they hunt, they hunt for their families, for the family around, for the, and everybody is on that effort, you know, together on a big, because it's a big deal. They got to survive. So it's about their daily, you know, maintenance and survival. So they share because they want to see the whole thriving, not just themselves or their families. They want to
Mhm.
see the whole nation, the whole village thriving. And that's when we maybe can use the word success or, you know, abundance.
Mhm.
And that's when we have the real harmony, the real beauty of existence in my optics.
Mhm. Beautiful. Yeah, for sure. You know, the village is returning, right? It's a big part of what I see happening too in my optics. You know, also is a village consciousness. You know, and you know, you brought up the shadow work, right? It's like the shadow is that which hides, denies, and represses. You know, and so we need to stop hiding the truth from our youth, right? You know, no longer deny the truth of the fact that, like, yeah, like America's history, you know, is something to really pay attention to. I mean, the other thing with America that I want to talk to a little bit with you about is, for example, right, we say Americans. Well, we got North America, we got Central America, we got South America, right? Like, who are we talking about when we say American, right? Well, when we usually who we're referring to when we say American, most of the time we're talking about people who live within the continental U.S., right? The 50 states, yeah, are the American people, and state is a state of consciousness, right, is really what we're speaking about in that. And so, you know, that's where again the education part of the academy, we get to bring this truth here, so that truth is no longer repressed anymore. Because then, as you were pointing towards, right, when that's not there, then the ability to oppress, right, is amplified. And so, you know, this is a movement of freedom, right? And you know, we talk about this in this country as you are now a citizen in this way, living here, right? It's like, you know, we're the people, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why people migrated here to begin with. And so you know, we call it the invaders, but the people that landed here were not the original people of here, yet we have this, like, we've forgotten, right? Again, of like, oh, okay, now is it's people who have been coming here from other places over the last how many years, right? When did that start to come in and we're putting borders up, right? There's no borders when we're looking at Earth from outer space, right? As being this rock flying through, right, through space, and this, like, you don't see it from there. Like, so we have to have a galactic consciousness, right, and know that we're part of something so much larger than the neighborhoods that we live in, right? The cities that we live in, the states that we live in, the countries that we live in, the nations that we're part of, right? It's like, it's when I hear about one nation under God, for me, that's one nation means like humans, right? As the nation, not the US, right? The corporation of the US talking this way. And so we got to debug. Yeah, it's a big part of this. We got to debug. We got to get the roaches out of office, right? We should get the roaches out of our house, right? Out of our home, and and come back in and replace it with and restore it, right? We're restoring, our election, right? Restoring our constitution, restoring the Declaration of Independence, restoring that. Most Americans, right, don't even know what our rights as people are and are not exercising those. And so we're being led by these 40 families that goes way back when, right? It's a mafia mentality, that's really operating on a global level. And so I would say part of our reversing or our healing is healing ourselves and healing in our families, right? That's where the work can be done big time too. The micro will affect the macro. Your teammate on the Naturalista, yeah, is like heal thyself and heal the world, right? And so if I do the healing, I'm not only healing myself, but I'm healing my past, right? My ancestors. And then because that stops here and I do this healing, I'm able to also heal the future, right? And so, to have that kind of 7 generational consciousness back in and planted back into our minds. And so I just greatly appreciate, your communal effort, your work in communities, globally, your working in the United Nations, which has it's also, right, it's lights and it's shadow, it's dark side and it's light side, right? And so there's that part. How do we purify, right? How do we purify the influential uh, organizations, entities, bodies of work in the world? How do we bring it into a place of truth, reconciliation and restoration, right? That's the greatest level of reparation, as opposed to it being through capital, right? I'm not looking as having a what do you call it, a nationality, if you were, an ethnicity, as a Native American, Cherokee, African American, Irish American person. Like, I'm not looking for money in terms of reparation. I'd rather see that reconciliation and reparation happen through restoration of our culture, right? Restoration of our lands, restoration of our environments, restoration of nature and human nature. Yeah.
Incredible. Yes. We have to start with us. Just like
Mm.
Gandhi say, no? Gandhi used to
Right.
say that be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm.
So it starts with us. And but once we start, we'll take millions with us, huh? So I
Yeah.
hope it was great to be here with you today. I hope that we have a very beautiful, bright future with the Jedi Academy. I'm looking forward to be one of your teachers and pass on the knowledge that I've been gathering in my years living on this planet as Anna on this body. And yes, and yet growing and finding more things and learning in the process. I've learned also that in life, the process is more important than the final destination. The process is the path, is the most important. So first to be present and be able to be, like conscious, nah? This is very, very nice. And to be able to inspire this consciousness in others, no? And trigger. It's really the trigger, because it's not everybody that is going to be waking up. So how can we trigger this movement of awakening, that people can really see that they are more than what they were told that they are? Well, I hope we can accomplish that. Yes.
Yes, we will. That's what we came here for, right? That's what we're incarnated in this time period to be part of, right? This is a prophecy, right? Many, peoples who are again connected, indigenous, cultures from around the world have prophesied, to this, and we have to, again, not kill our prophets for profit, right? But to prophesy and to, to speak it into existence and create from that. And so, so great to be co-creating with you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming in and joining us on today's Jedi Night podcast. Y'all take a look. We'll be sharing this on our website. We'll be sharing this on social media platforms out there. And Annaluisa, again, check out Dos Anjos Productions if you're looking for support and want to come and support her and her initiatives in indigenous movements and bring your communal effort to that. And so give thanks. It's a wonderful Tuesday. Put on your tutus, eat some tacos, and support the earth.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Big shout out to everybody. Lots of love, light, and good vibrations. Woohoo!
The best. Peace, love, and bananas.
Great, Jana. You're good at it. That's really nice.